without any further ado, I'll go ahead and kick it off. So today, our session is called Make a Big Splash with Your Campus Portal. And we've got our wonderful partners, John Brown from John Brown University, Paul Nast, and Anna Meserly. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
So I'll let them introduce themselves here right now. Paul, do you want to say hello?
Yes, thanks, Adrian. Paul, I'm from JBU. I'm the CIO here. Been here for a little over 20 years now in that role. And glad to lead this project of this new implementation of campus here at the university. Turn it over to you, Anna.
I'm Anna Messerly. I just got married, so it's actually Philip, so much easier to say now. I'm the Director of Client Services here at JBU, and was part of the group that led the change to campus.
Okay, great. And tell everyone where JBU is located, just in case they're wondering.
Yeah, we're in Northwest Arkansas, so right up in the upper right-hand corner, close to the Oklahoma border. Near Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers. We're near the Fortune 1 company of Walmart headquarters there. And so it's a great area of the country to be.
Nice. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate that. All right. So what we're going to do, so everyone knows, is we've added some questions to our deck just so you know what we're talking about. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see the questions on the slides, and then you'll see the answers in the following slides. And then Paul and Anna are going to add, some flavor to it, add their own stories, so it doesn't confuse you. I don't mean to insult anyone's intelligence by reading what's on the screen, but I just wanted everyone to understand that's what we're doing. So we're going to be like kind of a game show host situation. I'm going to ask the questions, and they're going to answer. So what was the situation before JBU adopted campus?
So we were thinking first that we had a portal. We have a well-liked and well-used portal. We actually did some surveys to see how students, faculty, and staff responded to it, and so they were surprisingly positive about the portal that we currently had. But we knew that it was based on an outdated infrastructure and becoming harder and harder to keep current and to modify to our needs. And there was also a lack of sort of that social communication and interaction. It was just a link farm basically. So there wasn't anything extra that we could do with that. And it's not a mobile friendly platform at all. You can use it on a phone or a mobile device. It just wasn't easy to navigate.
So Anna, so go ahead.
No, that's so we just knew, and it was time for a refresh, something just new that we could present to the community.
So I want to ask you another question on top of that, because you mentioned link farms, and I was gonna call that out at the end of the presentation. Did you have internal feedback from your stakeholders mentioning these things like, it's not mobile friendly, or there's, lack of communication? Did you actually have from that survey people calling those things out?
Yeah, so we asked several different questions about what did you actually use on the platform, and then also what do you like about it, what do you not like about it. And the top responses where it's not mobile friendly, there's no way to interact with people, and it isn't like a current looking platform.
Yeah, too busy, I think, was another common complaint.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that.
Actually, if I can show let me see. This is what it looks like, and I can actually show a live version of it. Sorry. So this is what it currently looked like. And it's a pretty stationary site. In the center are rotating ads that we have. Then on the left sides are our most commonly used links. This is a current screenshot. And then on the right side are some kind of essential services that students, faculty, staff use. And we also have the ability, we had classifieds on there, and that's kind of what our current platform looked like.
Well, what I know, was on the, maybe I won't talk. I was going to say, I noticed on the right-hand side, you had the beginnings of what looked like a link farm for the resources. So I imagine part of that feedback was, I need my stuff. How do I get it after scrolling through all of this as well?
Right. Well, while people said they could find what they needed, we don't have a robust search feature on the current portal. So it was harder to find it if you didn't already know where it was.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for showing that.
Sure. So I think the next question.
What were some of the challenges with, finding a better situation for your portal?
So some of the challenges that we had, that we thought through, were just because we've had this particular portal for quite some time, was getting buy-in from students, faculty, and staff. As you all know, change is difficult to manage. So just making sure that people were on board with having a significant change like this. Then how to switch from our current portal to the new portal and make that a smooth transition was something we talked a lot about, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. And then how to train the particular stakeholders for the role that they had. For example, if they were editing pages or managing groups, and how to train those particular constituents and then make that transition smoothly from what we currently use to the new portal. And then of course COVID was thrown in there because in the middle of it, it just made our transition much more lengthy, especially with all of the uncertainty happening. We really didn't want to throw more at people. So that has created a more lengthy transition than we had originally planned.
And I'll just throw in as well, I guess, just the opportunity that COVID presented to us. So many of our projects on campus were tabled at that time, as I'm sure is true at many other institutions, because of all the uncertainty. And we found that this project, this relationship with campus, was one that we actually were able to persist because of that uncertainty. We advocated for the connections that we felt like we could start to cultivate through the platform. And really one of the motivations that we'll talk about as we move forward here and talk about some of the marketing techniques that we have used is this idea, I guess, really ties back to the keynote with Michael and Jeff when they talked about this idea of having functional or technical connections on one end, but then also social connections on the other to really foster connections and engagement. And we, with our previous portal, had the technical, we had the link farm, but we did not really have the platform for the social. And I think, obviously campus really gives us that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. So
right. Yeah.
This is an important question we get asked quite often. And I just wanted you to candidly, tell us why, what was part of your decision-making process. I know you did mention, the social aspect and some of the other things, but why did you decide to use campus?
Right. I think just following right along with that point, we realized that we had a great opportunity to connect our various constituencies, students, faculty, and staff. really, a key part of our mission as an IT organization is not just to be operationally good, not just to make sure that the utilities are working and the lights are on, so to speak, but to foster, positive experiences. We like to call them delightful experiences for students, faculty, and staff. And that it goes beyond, I think, a lot of the the typical experiences we might think of in higher ed, like the classroom experience, which of course is very important. We want to think of delightful experiences with our digital experiences. And so all of the interfaces that, our constituents use, like our portals and various things to accomplish certain things, should be delightful. And while our current portal, at least was functionally there, I would hesitate to call it a delightful experience. I think many people actually rated it positively because they were so familiar with it, and they were a little daunted by the aspect of or the prospect of change. But that's something that Anna and her team are really working hard on, and some of these marketing techniques and some of the ideas of running our systems in parallel for a while that we'll talk about here in a little bit to make sure that people had that comfort level. So certainly mobile friendly was another, big success factor for us. The previous platform, which was based on SharePoint, was just not mobile friendly. Some of the tools that used that interface actually weren't very mobile friendly. And so, having the responsive design and some of the various features of campus was important for us there too. And then a higher degree of customization. And when I say that, I think what we're meaning is more mass customization, more at the individual level, not just at the group level. So, we can certainly have constituent pages that are targeted to faculty and staff versus students and that kind of thing. But we wanted to get down to more granular levels of types of students. So we have graduate students, we have online students, and then certainly traditional students. And we wanted to be able to have content that was tailored more to those individual groups, especially when the content, doesn't apply to one of the other groups. There's nothing, less delightful than seeing content that just has nothing to do with who you are and as a person at the institution. It makes you feel less connected. And so, those are the kinds of things we wanted to leverage with campus.
Awesome. So I do have a question before we get into this from the chat, and I know you guys will probably cover this, so you can put a pin in it you want, but Kendall asked if campus has helped improved efficiency for various departments. And I know you may be talking about this coming up, but we did have that question come through chat.
Yeah, thanks, Kendall. We're fairly new in our implementation. A lot of what we're going to talk about here shortly relates to this idea of creating a big splash. So, not only in the implementation, but I hope many of you who, I may be preaching to the choir on some of these decision-making aspects of why we chose campus, but some of you may be able to take some of these techniques and use them in your existing implementations to try to foster more engagement. But in terms of efficiency, I would say definitely, our previous platform, and again, was based on SharePoint. While it had a kind of a rudimentary, content management system, workflow, and that kind of thing, it was, the uplift to get there for your average department in terms of how you would edit pages, create pages, maintain them, was a little too much. And I don't say that in any way to demean the functional areas that we work with. It was too much for us as well, even in the IT area. And so, it was something we just really couldn't quite leverage. So we had some content out there, mostly just resource pages. You can picture an HR department with various files or accounting services with files. It was a very corporate portal. And campus gives us a much more accessible, much more user-friendly way to just turn over content creation to the departments. So from the standpoint of departments creating effective content that communicates and engages well with constituencies, we are definitely much more efficient because we don't have to centralize a lot of that work anymore. So yeah, I think that would be one key aspect that has made us more efficient. And I foresee us, really tapping into a lot of other areas where we would be efficient too, as we fully roll out the portal and decommission the old one.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add to that, Anna?
I think just the ability to let people have more independent editing choices will create more efficiency in the long run. And also the ability for students to create groups and communicate in a different manner rather than just use email or a different social media platform will create efficiency in the long run. We're not there yet, but I think it will in the long run.
All right, thank you both. Great question, Kendall. So I know you've mentioned it, Paul, but how did you roll out? So you made the decision to go with campus, and then you made a plan for how to roll it out. So what was that plan?
So we decided to go with a soft launch of the portal in October, and our idea was to run both platforms side by side. So we presented and introduced the campus platform at faculty and staff meetings, which were done via Zoom, and did just a brief overview of what they would see and what to expect. And then sent out some emails explaining, again, what people can expect. We had a short promotional video that we produced for social media. So I'll show you that now, actually, here. Just a quick, So our platform, our portal is called EagleNet, and we tried to come up with a way to rebrand it or come up with a new name, but it's so much part of our culture that we decided to stick with the EagleNet name, and we just added 2021 onto it to distinguish the two because they're running parallel. So we have the legacy EagleNet, and now what people refer to as EagleNet 2021, which once we completely go over to the new EagleNet will just be EagleNet. So that promotional video was on social media for a couple of days before the soft launch in October. And then we also created some swag t-shirts and stickers with the rebranded logo. It just is kind of an updated logo from the old EagleNet. And then we advertise via the ads that run on our old portal to be able to click on the new EagleNet, and also created a link on the old EagleNet to get to the new EagleNet. Then the day of the soft launch in October, an email was sent out that included the ability to do a scavenger hunt. So the scavenger hunt was created to help people become familiar with the portal and to be able to do some of the most basic and use some of the most basic features that the portal offers. So I have a brief video of the scavenger hunt and how it worked through, but I'll kind of talk through it just because it'll probably be a little bit easier to understand if I talk you through it. So let me just pull that up.
Well, pull that up. Well,
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Anna.
Okay, so I'll talk through this as it plays. So they received this email, and then it said to click here to get to the scavenger hunt. So I set up a series of links that take them through a set of instructions. So this first set says, welcome to the scavenger hunt. The first thing you're going to do is go to the old EagleNet, click on the new logo, and then once you get to EagleNet 2021, search for the scavenger hunt group. So then they join the group. So this is showing they clicked on the EagleNet 2021 logo, and this is our new portal. So they go to find the EagleNet 2021 scavenger hunt group and click on join group. Once they join the group, it was in the instructions, sorry that went a little fast, but they were to post something they're excited about for the new EagleNet. So you'll see that there are some posts here from people who had already joined once I did this video that shows how they're excited about the new portal. Then once they posted, they received an email that welcomed them to the group, which is part of what campus offers, is like a welcome email to the group. And then that email, which you'll see here, shows them that for the next part of the instructions, go to this link. So then once they go to that link, it gives them instructions for how to favorite tools and add tools to their menu list. And then they had a series they had to go through and add tools and then fill out a form that talked about what tools did you add and what did you find. So they do the tool search and then go and find this form on EagleNet. So the scavenger hunt kind of goes on like that, taking them from one portion of the campus portal to the next, just trying out all different kinds of things. So here you'll see adding the tools, and then after that, adding to the course menu and favoriting tools. And then I'll search for the form that it told me to in the instructions. And then after they get through the series of doing all of these steps for the scavenger hunt, the final thing was to go to Marketplace and find the ad for EagleNet swag, and then you had to send your PO box, like your campus box number, to get swag in the mail. So they end up getting the EagleNet swag at the end of the scavenger hunt. So that's kind of, and it goes on for a few minutes here, but that's how the scavenger hunt went on. So we had pretty good participation for the scavenger hunt. Oops, let me pause this. And we had probably 75 to 80 people participate, and it wasn't limited to just students. It was faculty, staff, everyone participated. So they learned a lot about EagleNet that way. Then we also created an early investment. Yeah.
I mentioned in the chat box that you guys did have an accompanying PDF that walked them through the steps of the scavenger hunt as well.
Well, it was kind of, as they went through it, they got a different set of instructions that was part of the link that they were given. So there weren't any instructions handed out per se. It was just right as they got to the next step, they got a new set of instructions.
Okay. And I guess since I mentioned it, there's questions now. Would you be willing to share those forms or forms?
Oh, yeah, I can put, well, the video is public, so I can share the link to the video, and then also I can put together some things that I used. I just kind of used some public resources in Microsoft Forms to put everything together.
Okay, great. And I think we're following up after each session today. So if you're attending this session, we'll have the registration and we'll be able to share those resources with you. Thank you, Anna.
Sure.
And one more question about your essential services widget. Someone wants to know what that one was.
Okay.
Or is.
Let me bring it up. The essential services widget, well, Paul, do you want to say anything about this? Or?
Well, I was just going to say that was a kind of a carryover from our first portal. You see it in the upper right there.
Right.
We wanted to highlight some key, services that were, the list was customized based on role. So here I'm looking at the faculty and staff constituent page. So these are all links that would apply to employees and faculty. And here's the students page. So you can see their essential services list is a little different. But even then, not all students are necessarily work study or student employees. So some of these links are not quite relevant. If I'm a graduate student, I might see links on there that don't apply to me. And so we had initially created a widget in Campus for the same kind of thing, an essential services widget that would populate itself based on role. But in actuality, we've taken that widget away because it kind of goes along with this theme of understanding sort of the paradigm shift between old and new, right? So Campus gives us new opportunities to do things differently. And what we realized is we were trying to recreate a function that was present in the old portal for a reason, but didn't necessarily, apply in the new. If you think about shortcuts, for example, and the ability to customize your left navigation menu. I mean, this is kind of essential services, if you will, but in the eye of the beholder. So the individual now can determine what they believe is essential. And as we found this happening a lot in our transition and our planning, where we were like, okay, how do we replicate this? And then we would stop and say, hold on a second, we don't necessarily need to. There's a different way of doing it, and perhaps this will be better. That's the hope anyway. I'll give one other example, and that was in the previous portal, we had that front and center ad. And you see that here in the middle where it says, and you can see how it's toggling between different slides. But you can also see in the navigation, there's 23 of those there. So if I want to, sit back and view all the ads, I gotta sit back for a little while, or I can navigate with the arrows. And it's kind of eye-catching, but it's also kind of clunky, especially if I remember seeing an ad at one point, and I don't remember which number it was. I got to cycle through them all until I get to the one that I was interested in. And so we thought about creating a widget that would replicate that, and we realized that we have the ability to do notifications. We have a feed now of ads that we can use, for example, campus announcements, that we can still do the same visual effect by doing some eye-catching kind of a slide of some sort, but it'll just be in a feed. And people will have a better ability to customize whether they want to sort of subscribe to those kinds of feeds. Of course, we make some of them required, but over time we see this replacing a lot of our more clunky communication mechanisms like email and digests of information that students just end up ignoring because they get too much of it, and have it more customized and tailored to the individual approach to communicate information. That's a long-winded answer to your question, but that, I think it speaks to this whole idea of how it was once done doesn't necessarily have to mean how it is.
Great. Yeah, appreciate that, Paul.
And yeah, Greg, we built the widget. It's just some logic that we populate into the frame, if you will, and within that widget. Yeah.
Okay, so just one other thing that we did as part of our launch, and it's still ongoing right now, is an early ambassadors group that people could sort of apply, not really apply, but sign up to do. And they had early access to the portal, and they've been giving feedback through the portal itself, through a group that they're in, and also through some surveys about particular items. So that is ongoing feedback through the soft launch that the early ambassadors are part of. And this is a group of about 25 students, faculty, and staff that are all part of it. So we're getting perspectives from everyone, mostly students, which is our most important group of people. So we have had good feedback from that group so far.
Nice. So after you launched, and it was faculty and staff mainly, right? After you did your soft launch, what was some of the feedback?
So we had a lot feedback from mostly students actually, and some faculty and staff. I feel like students have been a lot more, I guess, open to looking at things and trying them out. So some of the feedback we had, these are just quotes from students and faculty and staff. So they're excited about the layout. It's easier to look at Blackboard because we have the Blackboard widget. We also built a class schedule widget, so they can just see that right at the front on their dashboard. That some students reacted about the social interaction and that it will change the way that we interact as a school. And that's kind of what we were hoping for too, is like what Paul said, get away from the constant emails and the newsletters that have pages of information, that type of thing. And
well, real quick, and I'm going to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
The second quote you put, it says it's a big deal and we get to be part of the change. That's not a small thing right there. Like, I love that you put these quotes in there, but some of these not only go hand in hand with the, keynote that we were talking about, but making all students feel like they're part of it is a big deal to me. So I love these quotes. Sorry to interrupt,
no,
but
yeah, no.
Each one of these quotes, there's something that I was just like really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I was really passionate about through this project, is we really need to get people involved so they feel like it's not just something that's kind of forced on them, but is really a change that they've been a part of and can experience and have a say in, that type of thing. So that's what we were really trying to go for.
And really,
go ahead.
I was going to echo that, Anna, and just say that that's a direct reflection of you and your team and how well that she cultivated feedback, not only on, what people liked and disliked about the previous portal, but what they wanted to see in something new. And so that helped inform some of our design decisions and how we leveraged the tool itself. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I would say too, it's just, I think, a confirmation that in project planning for this kind of thing, it's so important not to make it just an IT project, but to really involve, other functional groups. In our case, marketing and communications, we all are on the same implementation team. They helped with, the promotional video and helped us do some of these other splash related things, but more importantly, helped advocate and run the project from their perspective. And so, having those combined resources really work together was important.
Fantastic.
So some other thoughts were the ease of maneuvering around. This is actually, the person who wrote this, I was happy to see that they wrote it because they're an older person who has a hard time with change. And so I was happy to see that they found it easy to navigate. And part of that is also having a robust search feature, which we really just didn't have before. And so if you don't know how to find something, you can just search for it. And like this person said, to search blindly through the main website in EagleNet, that's kind of what they did before, instead of using the search feature in Campus. The marketplace, we had a classifieds, and the marketplace has just really updated that look and feel, and it's an easier interface for students, faculty, and staff to use. And then this was actually from a student, that they're excited for students and faculty to have more access to what they're looking for, and believe that this new software will be helpful to incoming students who are looking for new groups to join. So just the ability to become a part of the community through the technology was exciting to see that students were thinking about that.
It is. So, what's the plan now? You've had a soft launch. What are you doing now?
So right now we're still in the soft launch phase. with both platforms running simultaneously. And within the coming months, we're working on just finishing out building some final widgets and adding just some essential tools that we still don't have out there so that we can switch all the way over to the campus portal. And then I do need to do some more training just for preparing, especially those who edit and moderate groups and pages, so that they feel pretty ready to go. So we hope to switch within the next few months here completely to the campus platform and turn on the mobile app, etc.
So what are some of the widgets that you're thinking about building, or widgets and tools? Usually that's a pretty common question from potential partners. So on your end, what are you prioritizing?
Well, one widget that we have to work to complete is a single sign-on link to our bill payment site. We use TouchNet, and so I know that Campus provides an out-of-the-box widget for some of those views in a different context, but we just need a kind of a self-serve or a single sign-on link to bill pay, and so that's kind of a big one for us. You know, I remember talking to a parent years ago, and they said to me, you know, you never want to make it hard for us to pay the bill. And so I agree. We took that to heart, and so that's something we want to make sure is in place. And you know, I guess I wanted to say something too about the fact that we're running these two platforms simultaneously for as long as we have. It may seem, you know, counterintuitive to do that. I mean, you've got to ask some people to maintain content in two places for a period of time and that kind of thing. And I think sometimes the temptation is to just jump all in and just live with the fallout. But obviously, when it comes to change, you know, you have people on every end of the spectrum in terms of their ability to tolerate change well. And we just want to provide opportunity for all of those people. So the slow adopters, they can hang out on the old platform as long as they need to, and maybe just kind of peek in every once in a while, see what's going on over there until they get a comfort level. Our early adopters are probably fully in the new platform already and loving it. And so they get to do that, and everybody in between can kind of do it at their own pace. And so this gives us, I think, a good opportunity to train people, to take our time, to make sure that, you know, we're listening to early feedback before we fully make the switch. So it's been a good approach for us.
And it sounds like it's very intentional. So that's super impressive, Paul. And so thank you.
I think that's it for the formal presentation. So I can end my screen share, unless there's something someone else wants us to show specifically.
I'll wait for chat to come in. I do have one question I want to ask you guys, but I want to see if there's any questions from the audience right now.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian, for all those nice softball questions that we could fire away on. So please, somebody stump us in the chat. Give us a stumper.
So the marketplace feature, I'll jump in and then I'll let you guys answer how you use it. So marketplace is a feature that allows you to list things, you know. So if this is higher ed, let's say I have a biology book, right? And I want to say, hey, I'm done with it. Anyone need this Bio 101 book? Here it is, and I offer it on Marketplace. And it allows that to happen at your institution within these kind of protected walls. So, you know, it's not just random users, you know, sketchy on Craigslist or whatever. So Marketplace is a place to list your things to sell. So how about you guys? How do you promote it, or how did you move it from your old portal and advertise it now?
I'll share the screen here so you can, oops, oh, it did work. I thought I left it too long. All right, so this is the new marketplace. Let me show you we had classifieds on our old portal, and I'll show you what they look like and then how we switched. This is what they looked like. So it's like a SharePoint list basically. And when you click on it, it's just just words. And you can attach a picture or something like that. But that was the old classifieds. And what we did to switch is we just posted on the current portal that we are now moving to the new marketplace, and put a direct link to the marketplace there. So when they click on it, it takes them to the current marketplace now, and this is what it looks like. So you can see that there are several items for sale, lost and found. This is house for rent, roommate, etc., books for sale, all of that. And then people can search and post their own that way. So we didn't really give much warning. We just said, we're switching to the new marketplace. If you want to move your current listing over there, you can move it over.
And you could filter by those categories as well. So if you just wanted to see books,
Right.
for example, you can click the little filter icon and just show books. Yeah, Kim, I see your question there. What sold you on campus versus other systems? That would be probably a longer discussion that I'd be glad to have with you offline. But in short, I think it was really just the prospects of a great partnership. We liked the tool a lot, and being kind of a younger tool in the overall portfolio of tools like this out there. It maybe felt a little bit, not as mature as some of the other ones, but we were impressed with the cadence in which the team was putting out new features. We were impressed with their responsiveness to our feedback. And that combined with, a great and reasonable pricing structure, we just felt like they were going to be a great partner for JBU over the long term. We felt like we could trust them. We felt like they were going to be around and that they were going to really support us well. And so it was really the partnership that sold us on campus.
Great question, Kim. Thank you. And thank you, Paul, for your candidness. So I'll give people 2 more minutes to ask questions, and then I want to jump in and ask my question, my burning question. So I want you to look into your crystal ball, and you've transitioned from your old portal, and you're just with one EagleNet now campus. What is your kind of big picture? Because I know you're a big picture guy, or people, Paul and Anna. So what's your big picture a year from now after you have one consolidated portal?
Go ahead, Anna. I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. My big picture would be that we are able to effectively use the social interactivity and communication tools to make a better experience on campus, for us, especially for our students, and for those students in maybe situations where they don't feel like they have a place, that they can find a place either just through a group that they find on campus, or get connected that way where they wouldn't have normally been able to have done that. And that this will give them a way to find out, these are the places where I can fit in on the physical campus, or if they're online students even, and what I can do to sort of contribute to my college experience. And also just that we can create an environment where students feel like they have a voice, where they really are getting updated current information that they need, and they can do that all in one place. So that's kind of my hope.
Student-centered, I like that.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I don't have much to add to that other than just to say that, I mentioned earlier that COVID was kind of an opportunity for us to keep this project alive. Um, and that's for those very reasons. We have students in so many different places now, not only here on campus, thankfully, but also, in quarantine and isolation at various times, some that have to still be remote for a period of time. And so as faculty have by now learned, some better than others, but have learned how to do the difficult task of doing hybrid learning to in-person and remote students at the same time, that's the classroom. But what about all the social interaction that happens outside of class? What about those students that, are either isolated because they have to be or isolated because they choose to be? This gives us a platform that is much more of a home base for all of those student types to be able to not only do their, day-to-day work, so to speak, of the institution, the stuff that they don't necessarily want to do all that often, but then the stuff that they want to do. It gives them an all-in-one place for them to interact, to find some digital identity somewhere that they can then build on interpersonally when they see those same people on campus. And so we're really excited about what this opportunity gives to us as an institution to create a more connected campus, definitely. Yeah.
It's almost like we molded you to make that quote based on the keynote.
Yeah, well, I might have thrown that in there on purpose, but it's true. I mean, it is true. I mean, it's definitely leaps and bounds above what we've done in the past, and so we look forward to the opportunities that it'll give us. I see another question from Kim here about the uplift for IT and just our integration with the student information system and how long for implementation. And, obviously I'll put on my consulting hat now and say that, every institution is going to be different in that regard. Obviously, I'm sure you know that too, in terms of expertise that you have in-house and that kind of thing. But I think as long as you have the cross-functional involvement that would be necessary, we've used marketing and communications in IT primarily, but if you can grab some faculty representation, some student representation, you could do something like this in just a few months. Now, doing it well, I think, you would need at least 6 months or so, and a lot of that depends on the cadence that campus is going to recommend to you. Based on your particular needs and your particular, goals. But it was not a daunting thing. We didn't have to devote resources full time to this effort. We met on a regular basis. Campus was great in terms of their project management to help shepherd us along in that process. In fact, they were almost too great. I mean, we were meeting so often, I kind of almost had to put the brakes on and say, hey, thanks for all your help. But I think we can kind of slow this down in terms of how often that we're meeting. So I say that in a very affectionate way, Adrian. It was always great to see you and the team. But it speaks well of them and their desire to really make sure that the implementation is successful. So yeah, the lift is not daunting at all.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Paul said. Thank you for that. I take that as a big compliment for the company, Paul. We usually have a guideline, Tim, of when we think you should be able to go live. And it's just a recommendation. Like Paul said, it's up to what your needs are, who you're bringing to the table. So 6 to 8 weeks, we could, potentially get you live if you have, a dedicated project team like Paul and Anna, with some people who can get the technical integrations done. But that it's very unique to what you need. And I'm going to use the time frame we're in right now. We're in the kind of almost middle of the spring semester. Most institutions wouldn't want to launch a new portal in the middle of a semester. So if, we were starting our implementation right now, we might say we could get it done by the end of April, but why don't we do a soft launch with the first summer semester session in June or something. So it really depends on your institution. But thank you for that question, Kim. All right, we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to keep this open for any questions. Paul and Anna, if you want to stay on, I appreciate it. But I'm going to give people time if they want to make the next session some time to stretch their legs, check on emails real quick. So I'm going to kind of call this, wrap this up right now. I really appreciate it, Paul and Anna. I love having you guys as a partner, and I look forward to every time we connect.
Yeah, likewise. Hey, thanks for facilitating, Adrian. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
And Anna is adding the resources if anyone wants to capture them out of the chat. But like I said, after the session today, I think we're going to be collecting the resources like slide decks and video links and things. And I think we're going to be sharing those out. I don't want to promise because I don't know exactly what it is, but we'll get those to you, at least for this session.
Right on.
Have a great day, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.